welcome. We are so excited you're here with us. This is our webinar entitled A Day in the Life of an AVA Student. And tonight I am joined by Kerri Hennen, the Executive Director of AVA. Hi, Kerri.
How are you, Erin? I'm glad we could do this again. I feel like it's
I
been
know.
forever.
I know. I love it. I love our webinars. So fun. Yes. Thank you for joining us again.
Oh, you're welcome. And I'm sorry for the bags under my eyes. It's Thursday, so
It's almost the weekend. It's okay. So tonight we are so excited to share a day in the life of various students who come to AVA and really give you an in-depth understanding of what their schedule looks like, a little more insight into just their, everything that goes on with their education at AVA. But to get started, for those of us who are new, I see some new faces here with us, so welcome. We want to give a little background on American Virtual Academy for those who might not know us too well. So AVA is a fully online K through 12 school that offers a curriculum rooted in our nation's founding principles while supporting student health and holistic well-being. We cater to a wide variety of students all over the world and understand that each student is unique, and that's what we'll be discussing this evening. We combine passionate online teachers with a flexible learning environment and provide the personalized education that every student deserves. We love serving those who are looking for flexibility, such as our student athletes, our international students, military families, and those in need of something more that better suits their specific circumstances. Kerri, is there anything you would like to add to this as the executive director? A little
no,
more.
I think you were perfect. I think as we get to the student profiles, I'll be able to talk more on things.
Yeah, wonderful. Okay, so to get started, we have a little presentation that we would love to share with you, and it's a slide deck kind of going over a few profiles of our students. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. Okay, so this is a day in the life of an AVA student. Can you guys see this?
Perfect.
Perfect. So the first student we're going to be talking about is the student athlete. And our athletes are really focused on training and backed by flexibility. So they typically train daily and they travel often for competitions. They study during off hours or travel days. They keep up with coursework via mobile access, and they work closely with AVA teachers and support staff. Our next student is the international student, and they learn from anywhere in the world. So they typically live abroad and they earn a US high school diploma. They access classes from different time zones. They engage in English language learning daily, and they prepare for US college or global goals. We also have our elementary learners. So curious minds start here. They learn at their own pace with parent support. They do daily lessons, including reading, math, art, and play. They enjoy built-in breaks and interactive tools, and they're really guided each step of the way by teachers and learning coaches. We also have our resilient students. So they find strength in a flexible path. So typically they balance school with something like therapy, recovery, or life shifts. The custom pace supports their mental health and healing and really helps them along that journey. They're able to access courses that are not offered at local schools, and it really helps to grow their confidence with our one-on-one academic support. So our promise here at AVA is no matter the journey, success is possible. So personalized learning paths for every need. We have accredited US diplomas from anywhere, caring teachers and flexible schedules, and we empower students to dream and to achieve. And we have our QR code here. So if you're ready to learn more, you can go ahead and scan that, and that'll take you to more information. So next, Kerri, I would love to ask you some questions about our different student profiles, since I know you know so much about them, working so closely with the students. How does that sound?
Sounds good to me.
Okay, great. So let's start with our student athletes. So can you tell us about a few students you have or you've had that are following training schedules and how AVA has worked for them?
Absolutely. So I think the first thing to remember is when you're having a virtual school, that we do have to be flexible because we are international. We have student athletes that are international. So we're working on different time zones. And so I think the biggest thing, and this is what I talk to a lot of my student athletes about, is number one, we have a Cognia accreditation and we have our NCAA accreditation. And that is their ticket to get a college scholarship. So we just recently had a student who graduated with us and she has a full ride scholarship for tennis to Vanderbilt. She played last season. She did amazing. Like they even like highlighted her. Vanderbilt tennis highlighted her. So we have to make sure that we are doing what is necessary for these students and academically to go to schools like Vanderbilt, because that's pretty hard to get into. So I did want to put that caveat out there about just having accreditation in NCAA. So that's the first and foremost. The second thing is because we have to follow NCAA guidelines, that means there's a lot of teacher support, teacher connection, academic feedback, making sure students are doing everything. They don't get to excuse like, hey, I have a soccer tournament, so I'm going to excuse this assignment, and then they don't have to do that. We have to make sure they complete every assignment. So a day in the life of a couple of different athletes might look like this. I have a lot of ballet dancers for Houston Ballet. We've had ones for San Francisco Ballet, Miami City Ballet, San Antonio Ballet. They're probably going to ballet really early in the morning. Actually, it's not even probably. I know that they do because I talked to them and their parents. They're going super early, like 6 a.m. So they're getting up in the morning and they're going to ballet practice. And then they have a morning break in between, they call it like late morning, early afternoon sessions. So within that time frame, it's usually about an hour to 2 hours. They're logging on, they're doing some assignments. Maybe for one student, it might be Monday, Wednesday, Friday. They're doing their math and science. Others, they're doing all their classes all in one day. So they have breaks within that studio schedule or that ballet company schedule. So it might be in the morning, it's in the afternoon, and it's definitely late in the evening. What I love about my teachers is I have a lot of them that are night owls, and I've had to tell them like, hey, you don't have to work at 2 a.m. Oh no, but that's because we have some international students. So my teachers are great about that. They're all certified teachers. My English teacher reminds me of the English teachers I had that inspired me to actually like English because I'm a math person. So Mrs. Mills is making sure their essays are in tip-top shape and college ready. So, that might be a ballet dancer. We have soccer players, one soccer player right now who currently, although he's from North Carolina, he is training in Germany pre-professionally. And so his schedule is a little different to whereas he's only working probably an hour or two Monday through Friday, but on Saturday, he's 3 to 4 hours, even some days longer. The one thing that I did talk to his mom about is what he likes to do with a lot of his math assignments. He likes to print them out for the week and then he's working on them and then he goes in and then submits them that way, just again, because of time. So because they're training, we have to be flexible with their schedule. We do not do live lessons for them unless they request it. It's at their request because I cannot force athletes to be with us. In addition to that, I'm a firm believer that although you might check into a virtual classroom with a whole bunch of people, it doesn't necessarily mean you're present. And I can say that for my own daughter, who was in 5th grade, although she may have been present and had 100% attendance in a public school, she was not present in math class. So that is a huge thing for me is when they're learning, I can tell when they log in, I can tell how long they've been logged in. So when they're learning and they're engaged, that's when the learning happens. Just checking into a webinar doesn't mean that we're necessarily present.
Yeah. Yeah.
Just wanted to clear that up.
Wonderful. So that flexibility piece, especially for athletes as they're training and getting up early, like that's really crucial. And we're able to work around that, sounds like.
Yes.
Wonderful. Is there anything else you would like to share about our student athletes and their schedules or a typical day for them?
I would say like traditionally, those are the students that we have always served. That's what these teachers that have been here, they've done since 2010 is with the student athletes. And so that's important to them. And again, those teachers know that these kids have a lot of pressure when it comes to sports, when our tennis players are traveling around the world for tennis tournaments. So we do need to be flexible when they're coming back. It's not that they're coming back to, hey, you missed a week's work. What we do is we balance out that calendar. And that's what's great about technology. If you were sitting, my daughter was sitting in a public school system, they're not balancing out a calendar. She has to be right where that class is, where we're able to really, again, personalize their education and say, oh, you've been training for Nutcracker. Okay, well, we can back assignments up, pace it out so you don't feel like you're having to catch up for the past few weeks, and because we don't want to overwhelm these students. So that's a huge thing that we do for our students, is really work with them. But a lot of that is communication.
Got it. Thank you. I'm
Um,
just looking at the chat. It looks like Tracy's been answering some
I
questions.
know I keep like,
Wonderful. Keep your questions coming. So thank you so much for sharing about the student athletes. I would love to know more about our international students, such as what draws them to AVA, and what does a typical day look like for a student overseas internationally?
so a lot of our international students, if they're an athlete, I'm like, for example, our one soccer player, he's over in Germany. Like I'm going to keep him in student athletes. Most of our international students, they are getting a dual diploma. So we have some students, for example, in Honduras, while they're at a Honduras school, not only are they getting that curriculum, they are also taking our classes so that they can have a US high school diploma. For
Mhm.
them, what draws them to us is that US high school diploma, because when I was growing up, I'm not going to let anyone know my age, but when I was growing up, it was really cool to go to school in Europe, right? And have a diploma from London and stuff like that. Well, now the draw is obviously the American university system, because we have a great education system. And so people want to come here. Also, it helps them just be, when you have that American diploma, it helps them be more marketable even for, schools in Europe. For example, we have one young lady, she is going to school in France for interior design. And it's so funny because like she was psychology. I remember her when she was a freshman. She was psychology. We would always talk about, because I used to teach AP psychology. So we would always talk about those types of things. And then she took our interior design course as a junior, fell in love with it, was upset that we didn't have more,
Oh
but
my
that's
gosh.
what she got into school for. And she's gonna be in France, where like, where could you, I mean, that's where design is, right? So she
Incredible.
has that opportunity to do that. So and we have a couple other that are going to school in California for nursing, and they're really passionate. There's two of them. They're so passionate about nursing and helping people and stuff like that. So I think it's just so amazing that not only can they get the diploma from their home country, but here they are getting an American diploma and being able to make a difference. So
That's incredible. Thank you for sharing those stories
you're
too.
welcome.
What about, so at AVA, we support students from all walks of life, as we've covered, including those who may need some extra help or have hit hard times. For instance, they may be coming out of a residential treatment center. How does AVA work for this type of student and learner?
That's a great question. So, and we have a few different students like that, and we've had students who have been in residential treatment while they're taking courses with us. We work with that treatment center for scheduling, because obviously if they're in a residential treatment center, they're having therapy sessions. So we want to make sure that they're able to get to their therapeutic sessions first. So we just have a very flexible scheduling. Some of it, again, because we're flexible and we're trying to help the student, not overwhelm the student. A lot of times what I will do is I will work with the parents and, again, the treatment center, and we're discussing, instead of taking 6 classes all at once
Mm.
for 18 weeks, why don't we knock it down to 3 or 4 and do a trimester for 12 weeks, so those students don't have to have so much more stressors on them. So it might look similar to that. And then again, it's a lot of times it's in between, when their therapy sessions are. Again, they still get a teacher that will respond to them, provide them academic feedback, all of that type of thing. But the teacher works with the counselor for when that child is able to meet Sometimes the children are just not able to meet, and so the teacher will do a specific video for that student. We've had other students who've come out of rehab, they need that consistency. So while they're in, they might be taking our class, they'll come out. We had one young lady who ended up graduating with us. Mom had called me and was like, this is her last chance. I'm done. Like, you know, she's going to be 18 soon. I'm just going to pay you. It's probably going to be a waste of money. Well, I mean, we have her picture on a lot of our stuff. She graduated, and I not only cried with her when I was like, hey, you're graduating, but also cried with mom. And mom, I mean, I still keep in touch with them. So she is at a university thriving right now. And she always says, like, if it wasn't for us and her teachers always caring and reaching out, she wouldn't have graduated. She wouldn't be in college. So I think the biggest thing is a lot of these students, and as parents, we all know this, and as anyone, we know this. Erin, you know this as well. COVID, I think, opened everybody's eyes in the world to, you know, what things could possibly be, right? What great possibilities like online learning, but it also left a lot of our students behind. And we saw as parents, I know I saw as a parent, I don't know how school systems expected my first grader to learn how to read and pronounce words with a mask on her face, right? And so I think that that's just one thing that we're able to do, is to have that one-on-one connection, and to really meet our students where they're at. I always tell students, especially our resilient students, you're going to have speed bumps in life. If you're going to have speed bumps, I'd rather it be with mom and dad before you get out into the real world. And we're here to help you and support you, and just to work with those families, to work with their therapists, you know, their counselors, all of those types of things. That's what we're trying to do, is how do we build confidence back in that student? How do we build that motivation back into that student?
And I feel like you touched on this too, which is amazing. That safety piece, that continue, having that consistency piece of they can rely on their teachers and have this safe space to learn as well, especially coming out of treatment or, having different schedules. That's really important.
Yes, absolutely. I mean, just consistency and the flexibility. Some students relapse, right? And so we need to be able to, you know, stop the class. And we've had, unfortunately, there's been one or two students that we've had to say, like, because again, we are an accredited school and learning is important. We've had to say, like, we are going to have to drop you from these classes. And when you are ready, we're going to be here. So we've had that, but I mean, we've had, like, I think when we did the math, because I had the math teacher and we did the math, I think it was like a 97% success rate with those students. So just again, what it takes is, it's not me, it's my staff, my teachers. And again, these teachers, they have worked with these types of children as well since 2010. They are great at what they do. They are passionate about what they do, and they're passionate about these students. So
Wonderful. Thank you, Kerri.
you're welcome.
Yeah. So what about students looking for more than what their current school has to offer, such as those seeking extra classes or credit recovery? How do we work with AVA, and how do we work with them to reach their goals?
So the biggest thing that I would tell parents is this, and I just know this as a parent as well. Ask the school first before you sign your kid up for an AP class. Like, maybe your school doesn't offer AP psychology, which, if your child's school does not offer AP psychology, I recommend you take it, because I'm going to be teaching it, and that is like that's like my fun passion. So, say for example, your school doesn't offer an AP class. That's where you would have to get school approval first, and then you can take that extra course with us. Credit recovery would be the same thing. We have a lot of schools that we partner with. A lot of times it's the athletic director contacting me about some athletes they might have. And we work with them for credit recovery classes over the summer. We do not do, because it is not accredited, and it will not, like, NCAA will not allow it. We do not test out. Like, we are not, that is not who we are. We are not test out. We are not a credit mill. I would never do that to my teachers or our school. And so I make that very clear with guidance counselors and with athletic directors that that is not what we are. They do have to take that course, because it is, especially if they're an athlete, is NCAA, and NCAA does not allow credit recovery. So they do have to take that course, fulfill all the requirements. But yeah, so we work with a lot of schools around the nation for that. But if it's something that you're trying to do on your own, especially like I said, for that extra credit,
Yeah.
talk to your guidance counselor or administrator first to get the approval. Most schools don't have a problem with it. Like we have partner schools that love that idea. Some schools, they just, you just have to get approval because I would want it on your kid's transcript. Like I know for my daughter, it won't be on her transcript from them. So
Okay, wonderful. So we know that AVA is kindergarten through 12th grade. We haven't talked about the elementary students yet. So what does a day in the life look like for them? Is there structure built in or a format they follow? How do we keep them accountable, on track, all of that?
that's an awesome question. So and I think like they're the most, that's the one that mom and dad really have to get involved, right? Because when you have a high schooler and they're motivated, you don't have to worry about them. A lot of that is with the teachers. But think about a kindergartner or first grader. Again, I talked about reading, right? My daughter was in kindergarten with COVID. The biggest thing is again, we work with the families. I will meet with the families. I will talk about different ways. So like I give parents like 3 or 4 different like schedules of what they can do. The biggest thing I always tell the parents is this: are your children morning children or are they late sleepers? If they're middle schoolers, I do not suggest telling them that they have to hop on at 7:30 or 8 a.m.
Mhm.
because they need sleep. And studies show that. I'm a very big person in like studies showing sleep is important. Like I tell my 11-year-old that sleep is important. Don't wake up at 5:30, please, to
Yeah.
watch TV or go on YouTube. So definitely what I would do with the elementary school kids, they kind of like to get up early. So I would definitely structure, having a morning session and then an afternoon. And that's where, again, we work with the families. I give them a few different options and their homeroom teacher. They get a homeroom teacher and they get their teacher as well, to just kind of go over that. If they need the help, I know my one teacher, my one homeroom teacher, we had a family, they had a kindergartner and a second grader. They were the cutest children ever. They were based in Kuwait. And so she was waking up at 5:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, and meeting with them at 6 a.m. There was a couple times that I did it and I was like, oh my goodness, like
Yeah.
you to be camera ready by 6 a.m. is like, I can be school drop off ready at 6 a.m., but not camera. So I was like, wow, I'm impressed. But yeah, I mean, so we're meeting with families when it's good for them. I do tell parents, especially with the elementary school. So we have math, we have the language arts, and it's all grade level, the way it's supposed to be as per standards. We have science and we have social studies.
Mhm.
I always tell parents, like, if I was doing this again, like, goodness, social studies, I would be going to museums. Art, what Mrs. Delorme has done to our art class, we have an art class. She's added even more art because the kiddos were asking for it. And then they do like weekly, or it's either weekly or every other week, art gallery walkthroughs, like virtually, and they share their art and the art that these kids create. And the parents are so funny because they're always like, you didn't tell us to buy art supplies. I'm like, I'm sorry, I didn't realize. I was like, I didn't know Mrs. Delorme was gonna. I mean, but it's just the kids will love it. For PE, I would say if they're in sports, like that's something that you can use. And then we also have like alternative curriculum for that. You can use our course, but
Mhm.
if they're already, if you're a running family or you're a soccer family or whatever the case may be, I would definitely use that to get them definitely running around. Play is so important for our little kids, and I cannot imagine having to log in to whether it's a computer or again, having little kids. They don't even play in kindergarten anymore. Like teachers are not allowed to have like little play kitchens. Have your kids do that, please. That is so important. So that's my biggest thing. Like, and again, I'm very passionate about that because our young students do need that.
Yeah, absolutely. Wonderful. Well, we have a few minutes left, and I see a bunch of questions that keep coming in. So thank
Oh,
you.
wow, we have a lot of questions.
Now we have a lot of questions. So, Carrie, if there's anything you want to touch on, please let me know. But if anyone has any questions about what we've discussed so far, please let us know. Any other questions, we're happy to answer them.
One thing I would love for you all to talk about, we're getting a lot of wonderful questions. Some of them are around, some of the routines that the students have and how we keep the students engaged and, how our students are so wonderful that they may have off hours with schedules and different pieces. And I know you touched on a lot of that, but is there anything we can expand on with maybe Carrie, how we're using our community tools to engage students, keep them on routine, allowing parents to see that just in time information and progress?
Absolutely. So I'm actually, my teachers love what our technology does, our snapshots, or even like when I log in and I click on a certain student, I can see what time your kid has logged on. I can see that your child, and I'm going to use a former student who now goes to University of Miami, so I am allowed to make fun of him. That he clicked on the dashboard 79 times for an hour and told his mom he did his work. Yes. So we can see all that. We share that with parents. So for example, if we notice that your student, the first week of school, I'm checking in with you all. I'm checking in the first day as the principal. How did everything go? Were you able to log on? I can see this information. I see it real time, but I want to check in and see what your experience was. Did my teachers check in with you? Did you get to meet with your homeroom teacher? All of those types of things. So that's first and foremost as a principal. Then at the end of the week, I follow up. How was your first week of school? How was everything? So that's me as a teacher. Your teachers are checking in every single day with you with emails and stuff like that. For community, we have Strong Mind Central, which is really awesome. Again, like we have art this year because America's turning 250 years old. And one of my teachers is actually, I thought it was a club you could sign up for. You cannot, but check your lineage. One of our teachers is a daughter of the American Revolutionary War. And so she is very passionate about this. She is going to be going around South Carolina and the Southeast with this organization. And I saw their organization. It's right next to the White House. So again, I thought it was just a club. It's not. So she is going to be teaching other schools. Like she's going into brick and mortar schools and doing this, but she's going to be doing this for us as well. Plus we are Purple Heart. So if you are a military family, I know we're purple, it's Purple Star, sorry, Purple Star in Arizona. But I know that we were looking to expand there. So we do have military families currently. As a high school teacher, a former high school teacher, my biggest thing is because this is a school and I worked for other virtual schools who don't treat it as a school. We have, we used to call it high school highlights. I think it's called the Eagles Flight Path now. It is like literally a guidance counselor center. So I am pushing out scholarships weekly. And my upcoming freshmen already know that Mrs. Hennen is going to be harassing them because there are easy little essays that are open for 9th grade to 12th grade students. So I want my 9th graders to already start thinking about college scholarships. With that, again, like I'm thinking of Strong Mind Central. We have, we're going to have elementary school, we'll have middle school, art is one, we have athletes have one. So like we have our tennis players all in one community together. So if they're at a tennis tournament together, they can meet up and stuff like that. So, and ballet, we have one for them as well. So we definitely make sure that we are trying to connect them as much as they want. I'm never going to force somebody to be like, hey, you have to join this. But if they want to join it and they want to reach out, absolutely. And we're there moderating it. But when it comes to monitoring student progress, the academic part, which I can nerd out about, yes, I am monitoring. Your teachers are monitoring. Your teachers know when your child is online, and they know if your child failed that test because it took them only 5 seconds and all they did was press the letter A or something. We know all of that because we can see that. So, which is always great for parent teacher conferences because when we bring that up, especially to the high school kids, that's when, they don't have such a fun weekend because mom and dad then ground them. But we like that, those are far and few between because we have athletes, they are type A and motivated.
Great question too, Tracy. Thank you.
Tracy, can I talk on that 504? Because we get that I get that question a lot, and I really because we are a private school, like Tracy said, we do not like we don't have to. I'm gonna put that in quotes. We don't have to because we're not taking that. I think it's 504 Rehabilitation Act of 1973. We are not bound by the 504. However, our curriculum, and we have students who are on IEPs and 504s that we work with, our curriculum already embedded in the curriculum. So I have some students who are dyslexic. The course will read the information to them. So that's one tool that we use. And again, we do a lot of accommodations and modifications. Another thing that the course does itself is they get to retake something. There's extended time already because we do not time test. I don't ever believe in a time test. I know SAT, ACT, you have to, and that's to get into college and stuff like that. But that's already built in. And then again, like parents bring the 504s with them. We discuss the accommodations and modifications we can do and the flexibility. So for example, I have some students who, that essay, they can't finish a whole English high school essay in one sitting, and that gives them anxiety and stuff like that. So again, that's where the teacher works with the student, where the student can work ahead. He's still working on that essay, but maybe he's only turning in a chunk at a time. And that is just, it's all based off of communication with me as the head of school, and then communication with those teachers. And I obviously share out to the teachers, hey, this is what I discuss, but please go and, discuss it with the families as well. So we are accommodating and making modifications. I just want to make that clear that even though we don't have to, that is something that our curriculum already has most of it embedded in there.
Mhm.
I hope I clarified that. I'm sorry.
Yes, that was great. I'm just looking at the chat to see if there's anything else. Thank you, Tracy, for answering questions.
Students do. Oh, sorry. I was gonna answer. Somebody asked if students get a computer sent to them. No, we are a private online education. So I know, for example, other companies send free computers. We do not do that. We're private. So it is expected that the student has either a laptop or a desktop. iPads do not work well. So most of our students have laptops, again, because they travel with sports and ballet and stuff like that. Most of them have laptops of their own that they can use.
Carrie, is there? Oh, go ahead, Tracy.
I see the question about the EVN number in Oklahoma, and I know we have a lot of Oklahoma friends in here. So we are working with the Oklahoma Tax Department. So as soon as they finalize our application, we will be able to generate the EVN. Every state is different, and in Oklahoma, they require a unique enrollment verification number, EVN, for every student. So if you're enrolling 2 students, American Virtual Academy will generate 2 EVN. As soon we're working as a top priority because our relationship with Oklahoma was just approved by the superintendent. So that tells us that we're accredited and we're eligible. Now we're going to the tax department to get that final piece. As soon as we know that we have that approval, we are going to personally reach out to every student in Oklahoma that submitted an application or is in progress. And if you're still interested, we will give you that EVN so you can apply that day. So that is, we're in progress right now, and it takes a couple weeks, business days, to get that through. But we will reach out as soon as that's done. So I wanted to make sure I spoke on that because we had a lot of really great questions from our Oklahoma friends because we're very excited to serve that state.
I saw a great question about you talk about talking with parents. How is this accomplished? Is there a special meeting to talk, say before the girls start? Absolutely. So I have a lot of parents who schedule meetings with me with my current, like with our returning students. Right now, I've been working with all their families. Either some families are like, no, Kerri, just email us the grad plan because they've been here for years. So they just want to know the updated and some of them, and a lot of those children are seniors in high school, and they probably are out of ballet intensive and finishing that up and getting ready to start with fall ballet. But with all of our students, our high school students, I create a grad plan based off of the state that they're at. So if they're living in Texas, it's based off of the Texas. If they were in Oklahoma, it'd be Oklahoma, Arizona, Arizona. That is per accreditation. I have to do that way. I do, one of the things that I do know talking to my Arizona students is Arizona does not require 2 years of foreign language, but I always tell the high school students, and I always ask them this, what is your plan for after the 4 years? And they'll always say college. And I'll say, well, if you want to go to college, then let's look at some of these college requirements. They require 2 years of foreign language. So even though Arizona, the state of Arizona does not require 2 years of foreign language, a lot of students choose to do that because they want to apply to go to universities. So those are the type of conversations we're having. With elementary school and middle school, I have some parents who want to meet with me. Obviously, my younger students, kindergarten through third grade, want to meet. So again, so that they can learn how, what different schedules that they could use. But middle school parents, I have some middle school parents who are fine and they just sign their students up. If they want to meet with me when they fill out their application, that's usually something that they request. And we meet on Zoom like this.
I love the question about what Tracy does, and she answered.
Yes, and the purpose, Jennifer, of that EVN, that is the piece that you put in when you put your application for the Oklahoma tax credit. You need that EVN from the school. And once you do that, that's the magic number that then everything is free for tuition. So there's no out-of-pocket expense for you. And the state of Oklahoma would pay the tuition. They pay it 2 times a year in Oklahoma. And the beauty with Oklahoma is there's a physical component, which means we get to have a fun Freedom Fest party in Oklahoma 2 times a year where you can meet some of the staff, and that's where we do the funding of that. So there's a really fun component where we're hoping to have some, patriotic events, some fun times where we can really get to know the Oklahoma students.
Yes.
But you guys are funny. I'm looking at your comments.
This is a great question. Teacher to student ratio. In high school, it's about, I would even say it's less than 100 to 1. And if you were in high school in the brick and mortar, or if you were in the high school in brick and mortar, it would definitely be more than 100. If you are in the, what do you call it? The charter school virtual. When I worked for a company not to be named, based out of Florida, I had over 500 students in an AP psychology class. So try grading essays within 48 hours. That's fun. So I had over 500 students. That is something that Tracy and I talked about when, when we first when Tracy and I first talked about this role, was the fact that it was my firm belief 100 students max. And the reason why is I'm a very big person on specific academic feedback. Like I said, Mrs. Mills, our English teacher, who is absolutely amazing, reminds me of Mr. Lacasse and Miss Mancini from my 11th and 12th grade English days. Just with her rubrics, they're specific. She even sends them out before, which like nerds me out because I'm like, oh my gosh, the kids already know what to expect, right? Like what she's looking for and why she's going to grade it that way. So that's a huge thing. Math, Math is my background. 100 students max. Elementary school, it's a lot different. I would say K through threes, probably 40 at most. I know that Tracy and I have even talked about lowering that. So that's what we do. As a principal, it's my job to monitor my teachers and the feedback. I'm doing observations all the time, which is my job as an instructional leader. So part of a head of school is your instructional leader role, and then you've got also like the operations and stuff like that. So I'm observing their classes. I'm going into different classes, making sure that they're, responding to students. One rule that I have, I don't know if I want to call it a rule. I'll say best practice, but it is kind of like a rule. It's an expectation that I have, and my teachers know because I'm very clear about it all the time. If a student is online and they email you, or they get something wrong, and or they submit something, grade it right then and there. Don't be like, well, I have 24 hours. And that's why I like my staff is amazing, because they feel the same way. I don't really have to tell them, but I'm always like, that's always the best practice, right? So if a student asks you a question, especially in the day and age of cell phones, we want that automatic feedback. Answer their question, answer their email, grade their assignment, tell them what they did wrong. And I have great teachers. And Tracy knows like that's my big thing. Like if you don't have a heart for the students and serving the students, I don't want you working with our students. Tracy knows I could go on and on about that.
I love it. I love the passion. We definitely have a passion for our students, and that's what I love. And thank you all for all these great questions. I think that we've answered them all, but if there's anything that we missed, please poke it in the chat or, say, don't forget about me. But I really think that we may have gotten all those questions. They're wonderful. And I am going to add some of these, Erin, we should add some of these to our FAQ in our
Absolutely.
website. I love it.
These are
Absolutely.
great questions. I wish
Yeah.
I could have gone through all of them.
No. Well, do we want to answer one more question, or are we going to wrap up? How are you feeling, Carrie?
I
Yeah, I
think
can
we
answer.
can wrap up. I'm going to interrupt. I'm sorry. I think we can wrap up, but I just want to say one question was, do we have to wait for the tax credit approval or can we apply now? My suggestion is to put your application through. It will be in what we call a pending approval state. And that's a great time too. Then, Carrie meets with a lot of families and talks to them. We make sure we have all of the needs you have. And that can happen while we're waiting for that tax credit piece. So that as soon as you get that approval for tax credit, we push it to approval and submission and we're ready to schedule the courses. So, when you use tax credit, there's kind of two paths you take where it's our standard application and your state specific. So I say start it. We can keep you in a holding pattern for as long as we need to, because the beauty of our flexibility is kids start in August, kids can start in September, kids can start in October. We can have that flexibility.
And I was actually going to say that, Tracy. Don't feel like, oh, school's already started. I have a lot of students who are not starting until after Labor Day because parents enjoy the flexibility and they know that they can travel in August for a lot cheaper and nobody else is on the beach because they're all back to school. So that is one thing about your child will not start late or like have to catch up. They are on their own 18-week path unless they choose the trimester, then they would be on their own 12-week path. So it's flexible and personalized to your start date and when you start, not when everybody else is.
Wonderful. Okay. Thank you so much, everyone, for being here with us. Carrie, thank you so much for answering all the questions. Tracy, Brad, thank you for being here, answering questions as well in the chat. Carrie, where can we learn more? What's the next step?
AmericanVirtualAcademy.com. Would you like the website? I can get it for you.
AmericanVirtualAcademy.com. Yes.
Wanted to almost say AVA. I was in my classroom, so I'm sorry I don't have it up. And I appreciate all of you for attending again. Like I said, I know that it's late in the evening. Everyone's had a long day of work and stuff like that. So I appreciate you all for being here. Thank you so much.
Yes, thank you, everyone. And we are going to continue to host these webinars, so please stay tuned. Our next one will be in about 2 weeks. We'll be announcing that soon, and we'll be having more. So if you have any more questions, please feel free to join us, reach out to us. We are here to support you every step of the way.
Thank you.
All right, thank you, everyone. Have a good evening.